Charles from GMAT Ninja here. Welcome to the final hour. I made it. I'm totally exhausted. I can barely see. My eyes are watering. My face is red. I'm sweating. I smell terrible. I think my wife just moved out of the house because I smell so bad after 24 hours of standing here sweating, talking up a storm. This room is totally destroyed. Food scraps everywhere. I'm having a good time. You guys have been awesome. Hour number 24, endless marathon. Totally gassed. Gonna have some fun with this. Bunuel has prepared the hardest questions he has ever written. I have barely seen these. So I grabbed these off of screenshots to a quick glance at them, tossed them in the slide deck. Look, I don't think there's going to be anything terribly useful about this one. We're just going to be going through having some fun, challenging you guys with the hardest questions, challenging me. So I've glanced at them, have a sense of what they're about. I'm probably going to make mistakes. We've peppered those in a little bit throughout the day. So this is mostly for fun, guys, also as a homage to great Bunuel, all the amazing work he does here on the forum. So we're going to lead off with a quiz here. So we're going to spend an hour grand total. I'm going to give you 10 minutes for 3 questions that hopefully are ready to go. Abhijit or Evan or whoever's back there. Do we have that quiz lined up? Yeah, that was one of the things I was asking you guys to do on the fly. So my bad. That wasn't something I prepared in advance. And I don't know who's on the admin channel right now. Okay. So we're not going to do it that way. Let's just go through these one at a time. I was going to have this as a quiz just so I can see the data on how you guys are struggling on it, because that's super fun with these. But instead, let's just jump in. And again, I'm not sure that anybody's ever going to watch this video in isolation, because I don't think this is going to be of great value to anybody. But if you're just tuning in, hour number 24, fundraiser for Ukraine, raised about $40,000 so far. If you're watching this later, maybe Ukraine's not in the news anymore. Donate to something you love. Man, this one's super obvious, super easy. We're clowning you by giving you a really easy question. Unit digit of 66 to the 6th. No, that's just got to be a 6, because you can keep, raising 6 to some power forever. You're just going to keep getting a 6 in that units digit. Super, super easy, right? 5, keep raising to whatever power you want. Super, super easy. Units digit is just going to be a 5. So 6 minus 5, that's 1. Answer must be B. Nothing? That's wrong. Why is it wrong? Well, we're assuming here that this difference is going to be positive. And do we know that for sure? Again, we know that this is Bunuel's question. Do you really trust that that's going to be the end of the story? Is there something we need to pay attention to? Like in the kind of boring stuff that we say all the time about good hygiene on Quant, where we're talking about read twice, everyone's sick of hearing me say this. If you watch the stuff on GMAT Ninja's channel, Branson and Harry bark about this all the time too. Plot your path forward. Check your work as you go, blah, 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 blah. You're tired of it. Read one more time. What is this? It's not just kind of blindly reading stuff. What this is here, pay attention. Where might you have made a mistake? Is there something there that you can look at and go, what trap might I have made for myself? What trap might I have fallen into of my own making? What are the mistakes I typically make? Where do I need to stay awake? Says the guy who's struggling like mad to stay awake. Maybe this is the end of the story and this is right, but what do I need to check for? Why might this not be right? That's a question I need to ask myself. Yeah, what if this is bigger than that? All we need to do is investigate that and we're somewhere. This is tough to do. And again, I'm not clowning you guys at all. Like I barely spent time looking at these questions. I look at this and go, it almost can't be that simple. Let me just check and make sure that it isn't. Let me see which one of these guys is bigger. How can we think about that? I'm kind of tempted to factorize this stuff, and I'm not seeing a super clean way to do it here. There's got to be a way that I can kind of, make these a little bit more comparable to each other. What if I rewrite this? I'm going to call this 5 to the 54th for a second, because that just because that gives me an opportunity to say, well, that's 25 to the 27th. Or better still, this is 125 raised to the, I believe, 18th. And if you're not clear about what I just did there, what I'm basically trying to do is say, well, that's going to be 5 to the 54th is equal to 5 to the 3rd raised to something. So 3 times what's going to give you the 54? I think it's 18. At this hour, 4 times 7 is going to be 32 sometimes. Apologies for that. So now, what do you think of this? Unambiguously, undoubtedly bigger, even though I kind of lopped one off there. Lopped up one of the 5s. This guy's bigger, which means we've got a negative number here. So it's more like we have something like this, 6 minus 15. Not 6 minus 5, because we're going to get the negative. I think we got 9 here. Bunuel, if you're with us, am I right? And the chat's frozen on my end, so I can't even see his answer at this point. I'm getting stickers. Love that. Thank you so much for the donations, guys. And yeah, if you see it intuitively, awesome. My brain is not so intuitive at this point, so I had to break it down a little bit and make it more comparable. But there you go. That was question number 1. Got all these people kind of saying, oh, why are you giving us easy questions? Always getting you guys. Okay, next one. Real quick, guys, in case there's an issue with because the slide's not coming out super clear. Left side of that inequality, that's meant to be a fraction. It's a little bit hard to see. But on the left side, you have x divided by the absolute value of x less than x, in case that's causing any trouble. Give you guys another 30 seconds on this. And I don't know if any of the GMAT Club folks have any ideas, but I am not seeing the bottom of the comments anymore. And maybe that's just because we're getting so many of them, but it's hard for me to see what's going on there in real time. Maybe nothing we can do, but keep popping in your answers, guys. Got some A's, got some E's, got some D's, got some B's. There's some C. Oh, this is good. If you're not a GMAT Club person, you might not know Bunuel, very much a legend. There's theories going around that it's AI, that it's a group of people, has answered, I don't know, how many posts do you have, Bunuel? Tens of thousands? Just unreal, just a machine producing question after question after question, offering great explanations. If you're curious about the guy, there you go. Even his morning breath smells like lilacs. And he's crushing you guys here. This is fun. My turn to get crushed. And again, being totally honest here, I barely spent time on this. I've seen it. I'm very likely to make a mistake. Let's see how it goes. Well, I know that this thing is positive. That's kind of cool. I have this temptation to start kind of rearranging stuff, and I can multiply by the absolute value of x, divide by the x there. But again, one of the things that we've talked about, basic hygiene on these inequality questions, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble doing that. You got to watch the negatives. I can get a bloodbath here. So let me see if I can kind of switch from that algebraic mode and see if there's anything I can do that's kind of more intuitive. This guy's positive. So what we have on the left side, so that left side is either 1 or -1. And I can break that down a little bit more. So left side, so if x is positive, then we know that that left side is just going to be 1 because that's positive, that's positive. So then we know that 1 is less than x. If x is less than 0, got to be negative, right? Because that bottom part's going to be positive, that's negative. So then we know that it is -1 is going to be less than x. We know that x is not equal to 0. So if x is negative, x is bigger than -1. So what is this saying? This is saying that x is a negative fraction. If x is greater than 0, then x is greater than 1. Is that right? I feel pretty good about this. I'm missing something. I can feel it, Bunuel. I can feel it. I guess that's true. But then I don't like these answer choices. I'm kind of lost here, guys, because what I'm not seeing here, I've got x is less than 0. Is there something going on here where x can't be less than 0? Unless I'm missing something, these seem to contradict. If x is less than 0, x can be a negative fraction. That seems correct. If the following must be true. X is always going to be bigger than -1. Right there. It's right there. What must be true? I was trying to find a statement that is equivalent to this. And that's not what you were going after at all. It's what has to be true. I know that x is either a negative fraction or it's a positive number bigger than 1. No matter what, x is bigger than -1. Nice, dude. That's fantastic. Feels like the GMAT too. Good job. One more. We'll write it this way. X is bigger than 0. Well, we'll write it in words, actually. So x and y, both positive integers. I don't know how that matters yet looking at it, but probably does. And the question is x prime? I'm not super confident here, but kind of working through it a minute ago. I think I got something. What I think is pretty brilliant about this question, and I might make a real butt of myself saying that because I might be totally missing what's going on here. But what I think is happening is it's kind of that tugging back and forth again. It's a little bit of algebra, a little bit of mechanics, a little bit of logic, and it is hard. At least for me, it's hard to put together. So is x prime, first statement, we got x minus 2 less than 2 minus y. I think I could go down the road of like, not with the inequality. It's like there's kind of that temptation to split this into two inequalities, turn that absolute value into positive and negative. I know personally, I don't execute well on that kind of stuff. That's not my wheelhouse. I'm going to see if I can kind of fight my way through it intuitively. This thing has to be either 0 or positive. So then this thing has to be positive for sure. So if 2 minus y is greater than 0, got to be true that 2 is bigger than y. Okay, positive integer things come into play now. I know that y's got to be equal to 1. Does that get me anywhere? Y is 1, so right side's 1. X minus 2 less than 1. So this thing, again, absolute value, can't be negative. This whole value can't be negative. So this thing has to be 0 here since x is an integer. That means x is 2. X is prime. I think that's sufficient. Bunuel, please yell at me if I got that wrong. Statement 2. We're gonna need some more space for this. We got x plus y plus 3 is equal to absolute value 1 minus y. I think I'll turn this into 2 equations and hope that gets me somewhere. I don't know what else to do here. If anybody has great ideas, pop it in there. X plus y plus 3 is equal to 1 minus y. Positive version, it could also be equal to y minus 1, just getting the negative version of what's in that absolute value sign. Okay, I'll deal with this guy first. I get x plus 2y equals -2. Is that right? Did I write something down wrong? Yeah. Wait, sorry, that's -3 right there. Quick thing, I know that I am doing a totally lousy job here of making this useful for anybody who's actually trying to take this test. One quick thing here. Watch the mistakes I make. Super exhausted, obviously, punch drunk, have no idea where I am, who I'm talking to. I'm just looking at a camera for 24 hours straight. Really easy to mess up that transliteration. You know how I bark all the time about like, oh, hey, read the question twice, plot your path forward, check your work. Think of that moment when you're writing the question down from the screen on your paper during the exam. Hey, that's your first step. Double check it, just like everything else. Really easy to make a mistake, really embarrassing when you do. Do as I say, not as I do. Get some sleep. You'll be better at test taking. All right. So that's a -3. I'm here. X plus y. I'm going to add the y back in over there. I'm going to add the add 3 to both sides. So I get 4. Positive integers. Y can be 1. X is 2. That's it. Only possibility. So here x is 2 prime. What about this guy? I think you get to the same place. X minus 3 is equal to -1. X is equal to 2. I think that's prime as well, no matter what, for x. I think we got D there. Bunuel, if you're with us, how'd I do? Anywhere close? Since y is a positive integer, that's greater than 0. Okay, D. Okay, so I think what you're saying, Bunuel, is I did not find the best way there, but we got there in the end. Good times. Oh, man. Not a sponsor. Got my can of Red Bull. Red Bull makes me mean. I kind of hate the stuff. My wife won't come near me when I drink it. Hates the smell of it. Not sponsored by Red Bull, but if anybody knows anybody at Red Bull, get them to kick in a little bit to help Ukrainian refugees. Let's do some more math. I think there's something going on here. And I'm cheating a little bit because I've been playing with some of Bunuel's questions that I'm not super familiar with all day. There's a bunch of them with kind of this theme of what is doable in a triangle, kind of this business of, well, any 2 sides got to be bigger, summed up, have to be bigger than the third. Something's going on with that. And I don't really like what I'm about to do, which is start kind of playing around with numbers here. I don't think that's ideal, but that's what I got with my brain the way it is right now. A minus B is 15. Okay, so let's start laying these numbers out. Let's say A is 1. I'm sorry, B is 1. C would have to be 16. And now I think in order to make this a triangle, this would have to be at least 15, right? So a little bit more than 15. That gets me to 32. Now what I did wrong here was, well, sure, B can be less than that, right? It can be just barely bigger than 0. That's all we're saying, is that B has to be bigger than 0. This could be just barely bigger than 15 by the tiniest bit. I think it still holds, because if this difference is 15, I'm going to need this to be more than 15 in order to make up that difference. So I'm north of 30 here, I think, no matter what. And I think A is sufficient. Bunuel, yell at me if I'm wrong. Area is equal to, I'm sorry, is that right? Area is equal to 50, or is that inequality? No, it is 50. Okay, perfect. Dude. So I think where I have to go here is something to do with kind of what's the biggest perimeter I can get for a given area, or what's the smallest, actually. That's what I'm after. So I want to try to see if it's possible to get under 30. Because I don't think there's a limit on perimeter. I've never thought about this before. Or at least I don't remember ever thinking about it before. But then again, I don't remember anything that happened before 7 o'clock Pacific time this morning. So I don't think there's any limit on it. So if I have an infinitely long and skinny triangle, I could have a super, super tiny area there with a gigantic perimeter. So that area of 50, we could have a gigantic perimeter. So it's certainly possible for the perimeter to be bigger than 30. That's pretty easy. The question is, what's the smallest I can make the perimeter for a given area? I think the principle here is you kind of need to make the figure, and this can be true of any polygon, I think, is you kind of want to make it as, I think of it as square as possible. So if we're trying to maximize the area of a rectangle, given whatever the perimeter is, I think you want a square, not an oblong rectangle. I think the same principle applies here, and I am way out on a limb, and I might be way the bleep off here. I think we're going to minimize the perimeter when we have an equilateral, I think I'm going to do this, and I don't know if this is going to lead me to a mess, but let me pretend for a second that we have a perimeter of exactly 30. What would be the area of this thing? This really shouldn't be hard for me, but right now, man, it is 5 60-degree angle there. I think we get 5 root 3. So the area here is going to be, so 10 times 5 root 3 divided by 2. So 25 root 3. That area is less than 50. And now what does that mean? So if this is the highest, this is the biggest area I can get is to less than 50 with the 10, 10, 10. We know the area is 50. I think what we're saying is we need more than a length of 30 around that triangle. I think that's what we're saying. This is less than 50. The most I can get out of 10, 10, 10, but the most I can get out of the biggest area I can get from a triangle with a perimeter of 30. That's the best I can do, I think. That's still less than 50. So if the area is 50, the perimeter has to be bigger than 30. I think we got D. Wow, that is tough, man. How do you come up with this stuff? Amazing. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Einar, for the wizard crystal ball. That makes me happy. Okay, I think I got one more in me, and then I think it's time to wrap up after that. Got a special treat at the very end of this. Nothing new with the GMAT, but lots of fun, I hope. I would say, hey, I'm going to give you a nice coherent explanation that's going to help you, but I'm just gratuitously getting my butt kicked here, just like the rest of you. At least one viper, at least one cobra. How many cobras? From any 2 snakes, at least one is a viper. I think that means that they're almost all vipers, right? So if I choose any 2 snakes out of the box, and I always get at least one viper, I think it has to be true that however many snakes are in there, it doesn't matter. We can have no more than one non-viper. Part of what confused me a little bit about this question, and I don't think it's an issue, I'm not sure, but part of I think is it kind of twists me up a little bit, is, okay, there's at least one viper, at least one cobra. I don't know whether or not there's any other snakes there, and I'm not sure if that plays a role here. I'm worried I'm falling into some sort of something that I'm overlooking. But I think in order to choose, so if I pick 2 random snakes out of there, give them a big old hug and a kiss, I'm always going to get a viper, at least one viper. I think there can only be one non-viper in there. It doesn't work. We know that there's at least one cobra, so that means we got to have exactly one cobra. So I think A is sufficient. And I think B is not. Total number of snakes is 99. I don't see why that would be sufficient by itself. I think we got A here. Bunuel. It's kind of like Judgment Day. It's like I'm waiting for the big guy in the ivory tower who knows all the things. Okay, one more. I think we got time for one more. Got to go through it pretty quickly. Honestly, guys, I think I'm getting a little lucky here. Not blowing these too much yet. Bunuel's toughest questions, a lot of them have a really good realistic feel to them. If you're seeing that on your test, you're having a really good quant day, and you can afford to miss this. Almost everybody, you can afford to miss this. Let's get into it so I can mic drop and go to bed. Is the median, so we got 10 terms, each is a reciprocal of a prime number. Is the median less than 1/5? So I think that's kind of asking us, if we kind of think about what that prime number is, that it's reciprocal of. Maybe I don't need to get into that. Maybe that's fine. It's the median less than 5. Okay. I'm gonna leave that right there for a second. Reciprocal of the median is prime. I'm I'm just not even understanding why that matters. Bunuel, man, you're not putting answer choices in here that mean nothing. That makes me nervous because I can't even understand why I care about this, which means you put something sneaky in there. I think, it's 10 terms, so we're kind of saying those two middle terms, reciprocal of the median is prime. I think for that to be true, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 terms, so your median is going to be the average of those middle two. So I think to get a prime number there, I think these have to be the same number, I think. Because if you take the average of those fractions and they're not the same, I think you're going to get some funk. You're definitely going to. If you take the average of two different fractions, even if the denominators are prime, even if we have something like 1/2 and 1/5, let's say, both reciprocals of primes, you're going to get 7/10. Reciprocal of that is not prime. I think the only way for this to work, these two have to be the same number. What does that tell me? I don't think anything. I still don't know. I mean, these could all be, I don't know, 1/11. They could all be 1/2. So I don't think A is sufficient. Yell at me if I botch it, Bunuel, and then I can go home and go to bed. Product of any two terms is a terminating decimal. So product of any two, okay. Product of any two terms of these fractions is a terminating decimal. We're running out of time here, so I'm going to kind of nervously not think through this fully, because if we go past the 12-hour mark, YouTube is going to obliterate everything we've done here. I think to be a terminating decimal, I think that the denominator has to be only 2s and 5s. I think as soon as you get to any other prime number in the prime factorization, so if we have anything over 3, not terminating, repeating, anything over 7, not terminating, repeating, I think it's going to be the same no matter how far we go. I think all of these guys are going to be repeating unless it's a 2 or a 5. So the product of any two fractions is a terminating decimal. So what we're saying is that everything in this is going to be 1/2 and 1/5. Got to be. Okay, but I don't think that tells me what. Oh no, I think I'm getting close, but I don't have it. So reciprocal of the median, answer is no. Is the median less than 1/5? No, it can't be less than 1/5. Either is 1/5. Your only possibilities here, the median is 1/2. The median is 1/5. The median could be the average of those two because we're not using statement 1 yet, which means that you get 7/10. In none of these cases, none of these are less than 1/5. That's equal to 1/5, obviously. That's more, that's more. I think it's statement 2. I think it's B. Bunuel, judge me, please. And as soon as we get that judgment from Bunuel, in the interest of time, guys, thank you so much for watching, everybody.